It's a blessing to welcome on former Kent State star. He was selected to the All-MAC third team, and now he's the newest member of UNLV in the new look Running Rebel squad. Michael Nuga, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Well, take us to how you're feeling, because this has been a long college journey for you. We're gonna get through the whole process, but you're now at your final destination point. Your sixth year of college basketball, heading with Coach Kruger, UNLV. How you feeling right now?
I feel good. I'm actually just excited to let the recruiting process be in the past, and now I can just focus on where I'm gonna go and my goals, and just get ready to put my all into one thing.
So what is it about Coach Kruger? Because this is a whole new look team. Obviously, his first time taking over a team and being the head coach of it. But what about him attracted you? Like, why is this the program you chose to go to?
I think what attracted me to Coach Kruger and the UNLV program was the fact that he actually played for them, and also he comes from a Hall of Fame coaching family with his dad being a Hall of Fame coach, and just the whole atmosphere. Honestly, it wasn't even just Coach Kruger; it was the whole coaching staff that was there. Just the vibe that they gave me, it felt like a family environment. Just talking to those guys, and I felt like I could really be myself. And in terms of basketball, I looked up all the guys, and I feel like we have a lot of talent to actually do something special and uplift UNLV basketball again.
Couldn't agree more. And we're going to really get into UNLV in the end of this. But I gotta say, you've got a crazy journey to get to this point. So let's all the way back. You're originally from Canada, Toronto to be specific. So what was it like growing up out there?
It was amazing growing up in Toronto. I was actually born in Africa and Nigeria, and then moved to Toronto after. Um, I love Toronto, the whole vibe of the city. If you actually go there, you'll understand what I'm saying. But just growing up in Toronto was an interesting experience, and like the basketball's growing in Toronto so much, so it's just cool to actually be a part of something great.
I just mentioned you originally were from Africa, Nigeria too. Like, what was it like growing up out there?
It was cool growing up in Africa. It's a very happy environment. Obviously, it's not as westernized as the United States, but just the whole environment, the atmosphere, the joy without having technology is it's amazing to just see and be around.
So growing up out there, like, what led to the move from you guys going from there to Canada then?
I think my parents were just looking for a better opportunity for life for their children, and going to Toronto was just the thing that made the most sense to give us a better life. So that's what they did.
Now you do have a lot of different places you take pride in, but would you say like the main place you take pride in, would that be from Africa, Nigeria, or would that be more so from Canada? Like who would you say you kind of represent?
I represent both. Of course, I have a lot of pride being an African, but being from Toronto and just the whole vibe and my neighborhood where I'm from, just being able to represent there and also be able to represent a whole different, continent, two different continents are really is it's amazing.
Now you personally have been able to move around all over the country, all over the world now so early in your life. Like you've gone from, as you said, Nigeria to Toronto. Now you've come to America and you've gone from Florida. You've gone and played out in Oregon, Ohio, Nevada now. Like moving around this much has to be kind of fun, but has to be a little stressful and chaotic too. Like how have you adjusted all this movement throughout your life?
I think the most important thing for me is just being in contact with my people back home.
Mhm.
Of course, I'm not home, and I really rarely get to see my parents and my brothers. But using technology like FaceTime kind of just makes each transition a little easier, knowing that I got a good support system that have my back, and my faith is really strong. So I know God got me with wherever I go. So I don't have any worries.
So in terms of like the positives, like you get to see all the country in America, you're going to see all the world pretty much now, many different places in the world at least. What's it been like being able to kind of get that much experience all over the world?
I think I'm truly blessed because there's a lot of people with the same dream when I was growing up in high school, and I was actually lucky and fortunate enough to actually be able to do these things. Of course, with hard work, but
Mhm.
it's just amazing to, just see where I started to where I am now, about to graduate, going all the way from Africa to Toronto. Now I'm just traveling all over the place. Now I'm going to UNLV. It's just saying it out loud is actually just it's amazing.
I've got to ask you, out of every place you've been so far, which one's been your favorite place?
That's a tough one because I loved Oregon just because of the
Mhm.
scenery, like the environment, the outdoorsy part of Oregon I loved. But Florida was also amazing because I had a lot of people that I knew from Toronto.
Mm.
Um, it's a tie. I can't really pick one. We'll see how things go in Vegas, but maybe that would be my favorite part, my favorite place.
Absolutely, man. Let's head into your overall high school career because then you head out there and that's really where you start creating your name to a degree. Obviously, you start playing the game of basketball and really taking it seriously then. So Walk us through that like little process. Like, how did you first start falling in love with the game of basketball? How is that becoming something that you fell in love with? Kind of chooses your passion.
Actually, I started doing track and field, which is where I got most of my speed from.
Hmm.
And I always played basketball, but I wasn't tall enough or physically big enough to play the game. Um, I think just seeing how happy the my home crowd was where I went to high school, and just the energy that was around basketball kind of just drew me towards it. And then realizing that I can actually take care of my family and do something amazing, and really help a lot of people through the game of basketball is what really drew me to want to give up all the other sports and put all my time into the game of basketball.
So when did that transition take place?
I think around my junior, senior year of high school, I actually didn't start on a basketball team until I was in my senior year of high school. And that's when I started really just diving into my skill and trying to be the best that I could be.
And that's the unique part I was going to touch up about next is that you didn't always have the spotlight on you for basketball. It took a long time to reach this point. And as you said, like, you didn't start until then. And if you told someone like you're going to be attending UNLV, one of the more prestigious, well-known colleges in the country, you're probably be debatably starting point guard out there next year. A lot of people might say, well, you probably were dominating since freshman year. You're probably at varsity all 4 years. Like that would have been most of those guys' stories. So how have you adjusted? Like what's it like having that be part of your story, being someone that didn't quite start until your senior year?
I think it just speaks to my perseverance and my heart and my work ethic. Growing up, yeah, I didn't have any spotlight. In my first year of playing basketball, actually, I didn't even get a jersey. I was filming the games with the iPad, but just my perseverance and just staying with the course. I could have gave up. A lot of people would have gave up, but just realizing that there's a bigger picture and God got a bigger plan for me, I think helped me to just focus in and just my time is my time, and here I am right now.
So what drove you? You mentioned God, and we're talking about faith a little bit throughout this interview too, but like what drove you? Because a lot of guys, especially when you're in high school, if you're not getting that much attention, as you said, you're not even really on the team whatsoever. And tell us in your point, like what kept you wanting to keep getting better and better and trying to get a spot, eventually hope to play college or professional basketball.
I think seeing my father work hard. My father was a taxi driver, and now he's a janitor, and just seeing how hard he worked every day. Being tired and going out, it made me realize that if I put my all into basketball, I can make life easier for him. And that's one of the things that motivated me, just helping my parents and seeing how hard they work. It made me want to work hard so that I can relieve some of that stress for them.
So when do you feel that you started getting to that point where you started realizing, okay, I'm a guy that can play at a high level. Like I could possibly be now a Division I player, and you truly felt that you had the talent to do that?
I always had that confidence. I felt like even when I wasn't playing, I felt like I was still the best. It just wasn't my turn yet. But
Mhm.
I think just I've always been a confident person, and yeah, even to this day, I feel like when I step on the court, I'm the best player, and I just carry that mindset, even not with basketball, with just a lot of things that I do. Um, yeah, I'm a very confident person in my game, and I also work hard, so it backs it up.
Canada basketball has been on the rise. We know it's really been this past, let's say 5 or 6 years, I'd say, ever since like Andrew Wiggins type of time really has brought them to a lot more spotlight. We see guys that are coming out each year, getting a lot more spotlight on them. So what's it been like kind of seeing the more attention that Canada's getting, kind of the rise of Canadian basketball? What's like seeing that?
It's kind of like a finally to me. I've been around Canadian basketball a lot, and we've always had the talent. I think we just never had the name like America, and people are starting to take notice. We're getting more players, but I think Canadian basketball is really going to make a big jump once this pandemic is over, because there's so many young guys with so much talent. But being in Canada, it makes it hard to be seen sometimes. But Canada's always had some hoopers, so we're finally getting some of the recognition that we deserve.
So if you were to take the guys that you're seeing in the NBA today from Canada, who's your top five?
Playing right now,
Mm-hmm.
Jamal,
Mm-hmm.
Shea, Wiggins, Nikhil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Lou Gents,
Mm-hmm.
based off potential. I'm going off potential. These guys are superstars.
Which one of those guys did you look up to, or for any of them, or you maybe guys in the past, like who was the guy maybe you looked up to, kind of like in a way, maybe even modeled your game after a little bit?
In terms of modeling my game, I think I play a little bit of Westbrook game in terms of his explosiveness and the way he dribbles upright. Um, in terms of like finishing, I kind of have a lot of different players. Monte Ellis, who actually is my favorite player, which is kind of weird because not a lot of people say that. Um, and just watching one guy from my high school, Vincent Wood, his work ethic, it really actually helped me a lot. So I got a couple players. I don't really say I look up to players, but I definitely get inspired by them 100%.
I love that you said Monte Ellis because, as you said, there's not a lot of guys going to say that. Typically, the answer is like a Kevin Durant, or LeBron, or Curry, whatnot, or even a Westbrook, where you said first. But Monte Ellis obviously was a prolific scorer who's a dominant player. And if you truly know basketball, you know who he is. But what kind of attracted you to
Hmm.
him? Like, what was it about his game that you liked?
I think we have the same body stature and the fact that he was a smaller combo guard, and speed was one of his biggest things, like myself. And just watching the way he plays, it kind of just like I watch his film, I watch my film, and I'm like I see so many similarities. So it just I think just the fact that he's different and he's just not a lot of people's favorite player just made me drew me more to him than all the other bigger names.
Now, another thing I want to ask you is of guys in college basketball last season, who would be like the best starting five you could put together of guys from Canada?
Myself,
Hmm.
Marcus Carr,
Hmm.
Quincy Greer. Ooh, I'm gonna go with my boy Jalen Warren, and the fifth one's up in the air. That's a tough one. Ahmed Ali. Ahmed Ali, easy.
And
That's my
how
top
about
five.
bench? Like, who you going to have off your bench yet? 4 or 5 guys and bring out that rotation. Who's going to be on that bench?
On my bench, I'm gonna have Nate Jack,
Hmm.
um, Daniel Saki. Uh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. Emmanuel Miller, 100%. Taryn Todd.
Hmm.
Um,
I know you like the Alabama guys, Primo and Keon too, right?
those two are talented as well. We got a lot of guys in Canada. We got a lot of guys coming from Canada that are. I can make a top 20. I think I can make a top 20. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. Well, obviously, because the situation, the story, and being in Canada too, obviously, is not the highest recruited place. You don't have to take the JUCO route. So walk us through that decision. Like, what brought you out to Florida, and why did you decide to go out to East Florida?
I actually got lucky because I had no looks coming out of high school. I emailed 600 coaches and no one responded to me. It's actually hilarious. But going to the North Pole Hoop Showcase and winning the MVP is really what actually, surprisingly not the emails, but that is what helped me to get that connection with Coach Schumann at Eastern Florida. And it was just a perfect match for me. I wouldn't have went anywhere else. I think me and Coach Schumann, I still talk to him to this day, and we just have that player coach relationship to where it was perfect for me. So I really appreciate that the opportunity.
What was going through your mind at that point in time? Like you just said, you had to email 600 coaches. No one gets back to you until that event. But what was going through your mind when you sent all those emails out and you still weren't getting anything back day after day? I'm sure you're kept checking, trying to wait. Who's going to reach out? Who's going to reach out? What was going through your mind at that point in time?
It was a lot of stressful days, just wondering like because I really didn't want to play basketball in Canada because it's not as prolific, of course, as the NCAA.
Mhm.
So just being patient. It was tough. There was a lot of hard days where I was just like, questioning a lot of things, but staying prayerful and just waiting my turn. My opportunity came.
How strong was your faith with God at that point in time? Like, was that something you were heavily relying on, or did that kind of come later in your life? Like, when did you really start trusting in God during that time span, if you were?
That never came later on. I always had that trust in him.
Mhm.
Just growing up in a family where that was big, and then also just making my own decision to, um, confirmation. So that's I like that I've never like doubted him. So I always knew like just staying patient, my turn will come. So I never had any issues with that.
Now, those that are believers obviously know that God is there in any kind of moment, the highs and the lows. But how impactful was it and how important was it having God throughout those times, both the highs and the lows of your career, but especially in that type of time when you didn't know what's next for you? How big was it for you to have God in your life at that point in time?
I think for the lows, I'll talk about both. For the lows, having him there, it just gave me a sense of security to where like the highs are coming. And in terms of the highs, it was just like he's just proven himself again. So um, yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy.
So you head out to Eastern Florida, and like you said, you do have some familiarity in terms of some guys there. A lot of guys from Canada tend to go to that school, but you're taking this JUCO route, and that's the name that so many people are still kind of a mystery name to some people. A lot of people don't have as much respect as I think they should for the JUCO route, but there's a lot of talent there. So what led to you? Like, what was your initial thoughts on JUCO, and what was like when your first day got there?
In my senior year of JUCO, my team would be a lot of Division One teams. So if there's a respect was is not there, they should play us. They should have played us. But I have a lot of respect for JUCO basketball, and it's not easy going JUCO. It's a grind because I mean you have a goal to leave JUCO. You're only there for 2 years, so you got to make yourself seen. So a lot of the guys in JUCO, I salute all of them. A lot of respect for those guys to just persevere and just keep striving to reach their goals. JUCO basketball is big to me, and I just feel like it's going to keep growing. And there's so many good players that have come out of JUCO. There's NBA players who have come out of JUCO. So, no, I respect JUCO. I respect the hell out of JUCO basketball. And yeah, I think that's a good route for some people who have not got that Division One look. It really helps.
What were your initial thoughts of JUCO? Like before you actually got on campus, and you first started hearing about JUCO and you had to take that route. Like, did you think JUCO was as good as it was? Were you shocked by how much talent was there? Like, what were your initial thoughts before you actually got to play on the JUCO level?
I was taking the first offer. It was getting to crunch time. I would have took the first offer that came to me, and that was the first offer that came to me, and I took it. But getting to JUCO, I think it just the difference between high school and JUCO, it really showed. Like there's so much talent in JUCO. There's high major players. There's NBA talent players. There's mid major, all types of players, and the physicality is always there, and it's just like it's just a miniature version of Division One basketball to me. Especially coming from the number 2 school in the country, Eastern Florida, when I was there. Like there's so much talent there, and like the difference in game and how you have to lock in is very evident.
You're coached by a coach that I know you've talked about before. He deserves a head coaching job or at least a coaching opportunity at the Division One level, and he's done incredible things so far in his career there. So, what's it just been like having Coach Schulman in your life, and how did your relationship grow from the point you first saw you at that one showcase to obviously today?
Coach Sherman should be a head coach in Division One NCAA basketball, and I stand by that. My relationship with him is amazing. He's like the way he cares for his players outside of basketball is amazing. My parents still message him. He still messages my parents. He's just a great guy. I would sit in the office and just sit there. We wouldn't even talk, but like I felt so comfortable around him that I could just chill out with him and just hang out with him. So it just made me want to play even harder and work harder to bring him success as well, not only the team and myself, but just seeing him win and just seeing the team win and just playing for him just made basketball a lot easier.
A lot of people think that the head coaching job at Division One level is hard, and it is. Don't get me wrong, but at the JUCO level, you get 2 years as a head coach to get the best out of each guy, and sometimes guys might only be there for 1 year as well. So how is he able to make you get successful? Because you go to the championship, your season one, season two is still a very successful 30-win season. How is he able to get all these guys to buy in and become successful as a team?
I think that just speaks to his character. He's a coach that players want to play for. And you're right, it's only 2 years. Sometimes some guys is 1 year, so it's not easy for coaches to develop that type of relationship as opposed to a 4 year Division One school. But he's excellent with player relationships, and from day one he lets you know office is always open. He reaches out to us. We do team activities, so it just speaks to his character and how he's able to draw players in to want to play for him and work hard.
You mentioned one guy that was on your Canadian starting lineup, and that's Ahmed, and he obviously has had an incredible career so far after he left JUCO. But what was that kind of forming that dynamic duo? Because you two really grew together and played at a high level when you guys were on the court. What was like just growing that dynamic duo with him?
I actually knew Ahmed before I actually went to JUCO, so I was already familiar with who he was. He knew who I was, and just playing with him, we're from the same type of background in Toronto. We go through the same, we've been through the same type of things in terms of our families, so it was so easy to play with him. If I could play with him again, I would. But just when we got on the court, we clicked. So, maybe because we're from the same area, it was easy to play and it was easy to have that relationship. But playing with him was amazing. He's a very talented player.
You've been in the portal a couple different times. I know he also is transferring too, but do you guys ever discuss that? Like, was that ever something you guys contact each other and was like, hey, would you want to consider teaming up? If so, let's see where we could possibly go.
Yeah, we actually talked about it when we both just entered the portal. It just happens that UNLV was just a big opportunity, and I mean I couldn't pass it down. He's going to be very successful wherever he goes. He's going to be an amazing player, and one day maybe our paths will cross and we'll play again together. But I'm happy to watch his games and see where his basketball journey takes him.
Then you had a huge jump heading into sophomore year. You end up going from 6 points per game, 2 rebounds and assists, to all of a sudden having 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and you obviously get first team all conference, team MVP. All the stuff goes down for you. So if you really start blowing out there, what led to that breakout though? Like, how were you able to take your game to that next level?
I think what happened for me is my work ethic just heightened even more. Um, I got to a point where I realized that I want to play at the top level and I want to make as much money as I can. And able to do that, looking at guys like Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, guys that went to, like unknown routes. Just seeing how they put their work ethic in and just the things that they talk about just made me want to just get in the gym even more, put in extra work, work on my body a little bit more. And, it produced on the court. Of course, hard work is going to show. So I think that the more hard I worked, the better I produced on the floor.
Might be a little bit different from the next question in your scenario because you were on an elite college where pretty much everyone does go Division One. But I know one of the hardest things about JUCO is that, as you mentioned earlier, is a 2-year timer on you. Some guys might be a 1-year timer. If that timer runs up and you don't have any offers, your career is done at that point. So a lot of times that causes the guys in the locker room to have to compete with each other heavily because like you want them to be successful, but at the same time you want that job too. So how did you deal with that? Like, what was it like battling the JUCO locker rooms in that sense?
I think that's what made me better as a player. The fact that everyone had a goal. Of course, you want to win, but everyone had their own personal goals. And every day in practice, it was you or me. And I think that's what made our team so well is because everyone wanted to play over each other. So we practiced that way, and everyone got better individually. And I think that's just the biggest thing coming from where I came from, being one of the best JUCOs in the country. Just the fact that everyone's so hungry that you have to go hard. You can't slip up in practice or it'll show. So I think that's what helps with a lot of our player development.
By the end of that season, then you do have the opportunity to go Division One. Now you finally get to live out that dream, and you choose Portland State, and that's a school that's obviously gets a lot of guys to the next level. We see them obviously as a pretty solid overall college, but what led to that decision? Like, why was Portland State the school that you want to attend?
I think my recruitment was going like crunch time was coming, and just talking to the coach over there, we had an understanding of, I could be very successful here. So it was far also, so it was just like, let me try something new. And I think it was really just a quick decision, and that's what just led me to Portland State.
Coach Puri obviously decided to move on now. He's back at Texas Tech now, but what was it like being coached by him? Like, how did you kind of adjust to being coached by him?
It's very intense going to predominantly pressed offense. Um, Playing for him was very up and down, fast paced. I think that actually helped me with my basketball skill and just being a faster player and being able to play more up tempo basketball. So yeah, the intensity of every game, just pressing every possession, really was an intense feel of basketball that I wasn't used to.
There's another guy out there that was super special in Holland Woods, and he obviously become a prolific scorer out there. One of the top all-time scorers in Portland State history. Went to ASU, now Grand Canyon, now for his final year. But what was it like playing alongside him?
Oh, that's my guy. It was amazing playing alongside him. I hope he does very well at GCU, where he just committed to. Um, but it was just amazing watching him. Like he had such a unique skill set, and just learning from him and just playing alongside him. It helped my game, and it just opened my eyes to different things that I could work on for myself to make me a good player.
And we do know throughout that course of the year, you have a few different games that really show what you're capable of. One of which was your 24-point outing against CSU Bakersfield. Walk us through that night. Like, what led to that breakout for you?
I think I think I made the first couple shots, and it was just one of those feelings where I just knew like I actually CS Bakersfield was when I got in foul trouble in the first half, and the second half is when I had all my points. And it was just I was pissed about the first half because I didn't play that much because of foul trouble. And then the second half started, and I was like, you know what, like it's takeover time. And the first couple shots went in, the next couple shots went in, and then if you're a basketball player, you know when you lock into that mode, you get into that mode. It's like you black out on the floor. So that was a cool game.
You only started 7 games that year, but you still were able to put out an insane number scoring wise. You started 17 games with 10 plus, 320 plus games. How were you able to come off the bench and become that dominant and that electric of a scorer?
I think it's just the way I carry myself. I'm very aggressive on the court. It doesn't matter who I play. It doesn't matter how many minutes I play. So whenever I come on the court, I'm looking to attack. I'm looking to go. So I think just having that killer first mindset, it just helped me for whatever role I was given at the time.
Now, there was another story that obviously came out later on. That's with Strick. And I know you obviously had that on your Twitter bio, but just walk us through that. Like, how has that impacted your life?
Yeah, that story that was my roommate for all of our road trips. So me and Strick spent a lot of time together, and When I got to Kent State, that's when the head coach had called me and told me that he was killed. Um, it was a weird feeling just because I seen him every day, and like just making jokes and just being in the same room every day, and then just hearing that he was killed. Um, it's weird. It's still weird to this day. I get Snapchat memories. The year ago's, and it's just it's weird. It's weird. He was a great person, great energy. Um, so I work hard for him, and that's just what I can do.
Absolutely, man. Well, you then decided to take the next transition for yourself and you decided to go to Kent State, which is where you spent the past 2 years. So, what led to you originally putting in the transfer portal, and then what led you obviously going to Kent State?
I think after Portland State, I had an understanding that I wanted a bigger role, and I kind of wanted to move up a little bit of a level, and that's what led to me putting my name in the portal. In terms of Kent State, it was actually on my visit was the first time I see my parents in 2 years. So I think that the fact that that's where all of that happened, it just gave me a sense of home, and I had a great relationship with all the coaches, especially Coach JUCO. So I think I just felt so comfortable here, and it just made sense.
First year, you have to register, and this is where the big debates all come into play now. Like we see a lot of guys obviously are able to just go out, transfer, and not to sit out for eligibility rules. That's been the whole new rule of why the portal's so crazy right now. But you personally have got experience now. You're going to be able to experience going straight in and playing. Also, you got to take the redshirt year. So, in your thoughts, like, is it good for the game of basketball to no longer have to take a redshirt year, just go in there play? Did you enjoy kind of getting to learn, improve your game? Like, what's your thoughts on the new rule?
I needed that redshirt year in terms of getting my body right and just developing my skills. So I think that it helped me. I don't know if I would have been as successful if I didn't have that redshirt year, but I think that it's good now. So players can just because it's not for everybody. Some people that redshirt year, it's some people don't use it properly, but I think it's a good rule for those who are ready to play basketball. I wasn't ready at that time, and that redshirt year is what helped me to get to where I am to now right now.
You hit on a key point. Like I said, I'm all for the rule. I think it's a great thing. I think it's great for situations. But as you just said, like you can improve and it really gets yourself kind of used to the system, used to the university, the playbook. Like it helps you just get settled down for when you do get on that court. So what was the biggest things though, that you improved on? Like how did that redshirt year impact you for this past season?
I think the biggest thing it helped me with is my overall player development in all aspects of my game, my ball handling, my shooting, my feel for the game, being able to just practice and not have to go in the game and just learn the system and getting older also. It just helped me to just understand the game more and really just hone on with the best things that I'm good at and really learn about my own self. So I think that's what helped me the most.
There was a memorable moment from your redshirt year, and that's when Kalen went out there and obviously got the first basket. And I've had on him before and just talked about the whole situation, but I want to hear your side of the story. Like having him in that locker room to become one of the very first players that accomplished the trait that he's been able to accomplish now. Like, what's it been like experience that moment with him? Just take us through getting that whole time.
And Caden's an amazing person. We actually just went to lunch yesterday, and I hope he does amazing at Morehouse. Um, if you actually watch that video of his first basket, I lost my mind on the bench. Um, I'm surprised I didn't get a technical for running on the court. I was just happy for him, and he brings like just this unique energy. Um, it's just an amazing person to be around, and you just have to laugh when you're around him. So it was cool having him as a teammate.
So COVID comes in then, and we don't know at that point in time, like how long we'll be in quarantine. We know the whole world had to deal with that. But as an athlete, each guy kind of took it differently. So how did you approach that? Like when you knew you were in lockdown, how did you improve on yourself, your game? Like what were the things you improved yourself in during that time span?
One of the things I got into was reading, which I
Mm-hmm.
never thought I would ever get into, which is weird. But I started reading books, and really just going outside more because there's no basketball courts. I spend a lot of time just sometimes I'll just sit in the grass or go to these outdoor courts and just try and do what I can, ball handling. I started training kids. I think just getting my mind around basketball without being able to actually go and do practices and stuff, but still having basketball there. It just helped me to just appreciate the game even more and just appreciate the time that we have because just like that, the season was over and people couldn't even get into a gym. So I think just surrounding myself with basketball and just keeping my mind occupied really helped me with this pandemic.
You get on campus and then you have to start dealing with all the COVID protocols that you've never had to deal with yet because you've now gone to all the different colleges, typical college seasons. How did you adjust to the new COVID season this past year?
It was weird getting tested 5 times a week, sticking the thing in your nose, um, like all the protocols, like all these rules. all this distancing and stuff like that. It was weird, but at the end of the day, we're basketball players. When you get on the court, you're there to play basketball. So, it's just rules that were outside of the court. But I feel like I had no distractions when I came to business time. So, it was just an adjustment. But when it came to basketball, I was fine.
So you go out there and obviously your season gets cut short. We'll talk about in a second, but those games you did play, the 13 games that you started, you went out there and you did your thing, 18 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, like all the stuff you just accomplished this past year. Was that your expectation? Did you play at the level you thought you could have? Do you think you could have done better? Like, how do you feel you did this senior year?
I feel like I personally underachieved. I felt like I could do better. I'm very happy with I'm very satisfied with how I produced this season, but I know I could do better. There are many games where I felt like I underachieved. I felt like I could have done way better. I feel like there are games like the Virginia games where I could have did more to get those wins. There are a couple of games that we lost early that I felt like I could have did more to get to help my team win. But I'm satisfied with how I played. I feel like I proved a lot of people wrong, but personally, I know I could do a lot better than that.
In those games, you obviously come away and you obviously end up winning third team All MAC. Obviously, probably were a little bit higher too if you didn't have the season-ending injury. But up until that point, like finally you got that award, like, you got that to your name. Now you accomplished that award. Like, what was going through your mind? How did you learn about that?
My coach actually just texted me. He's like, "You got third team. It's an accomplishment because you only played 13 games." And I think I was pissed because knowing that if I did play the whole season, I would have been first team. Um, and just put my team in a better position to actually go to March Madness. And I think it just made me a little bit hungrier. So I'm just gonna take that hunger to UNLV, and I'm gonna reach the goals that I want when I get over there.
You are in the process of rehabbing from the knee injury that ended up ending your season short. But walk us through how it happened. Like, take us through the play, how you knew about it. Like, just take us through the whole injury.
So I just took a wrong step on a fast break euro. I should have took an extra dribble, but it was weird. Like I felt something pop, but I didn't think my ACL was torn. I kind of hobbled off the court. And looking at other ACL injuries, like they bring the stretcher out, and I just hobbled off the court. And then I had the doctor was there, the trainer was there, and then when they looked at my leg, um, they've done this for a long time. They knew what it was right away, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I'm happy it happened because it gave me time to grow mentally. Um, and it's just one of those obstacles that I'm just gonna overcoming right now.
And that's a huge thing you just said too, because once again, going back to the faith aspect, a lot of people might say, well, when you have a bad situation, how do you trust in God? How are you keeping your faith strong? And how do you still stay positive about something like that? So kind of walk us through that aspect. How have you been able to stay positive and how do you still find the good and having to go through an ACL injury?
I think the fact that I'm just a happy person. I was sad about it. I got a little depressed about it at first, but
Mhm.
like I'm just too happy of a person to where I couldn't let that bother me too much. And luckily it's the pandemic year, so you like I think it would have been rougher on me if that was it and there's no more college basketball. But luckily it was pandemic year, so it happened at a perfect time, to be honest. And just knowing that the ACL is such a common injury and that people come back actually more athletic, and I knew I was gonna be fine. I knew that next season I was gonna have a better season than I did this season. Um, and that's just the mindset I have every day. Just I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. And I think that's just what keeps me going.
So then by the time the season comes to a close, then we know you put your name in that transfer portal and you're going through all this. But I did read too about you. Like originally, prior to the injury happening, you were kind of planning on going professional, testing it probably rather go NBA wise or just figure out a different way to go professional. What changed that? Like, why do you feel like this was the better opportunity going back to college for one more year?
Yeah, before I got injured, my plan was to enter the NBA draft.
Mhm.
Um, but the injury, it happens. And you roll with the punches. And I think that the fact that it happened and the fact that it led me to UNLV is just going to give me a better opportunity to showcase myself at a higher level. And that ultimately is just going to help me to reach my goals. And, so like it's a blessing in disguise. At first it was like I was a tough injury. But now looking at it, I'm happy, and I'm so happy with my decision that I'm about to be going to UNLV and be able to produce there. It's an exciting experience that I'm about to go through.
So when you do put your name in the portal, I know a lot of schools reach out to you from all over the place. You're one of the top 100 rated guys in the transfer portal this year. But you ultimately come down to a decision. You have top three: BYU, Wyoming, UNLV. What went into those three schools?
With BYU, I think the fact that it's just it's such a known school. They did so well for these last 2 years. Coach Pope is a great coach. I think just the fact that how well they did, it just like it would be cool to just play for a top 25 team in the country, of course. With Wyoming, it was just the opportunity and how they wanted to play me made sense. And with UNLV, it was kind of like a tie between all three, which is why I was stuck because they all wanted me to be a leader, which is what I am, and a scorer. Um, so just figuring out where I was more comfortable and just where I clicked more with the coaching staff and of course, Las Vegas is an NBA thing, USA basketball, summer league, everything that goes through Las Vegas in terms of basketball, and just having a coaching staff that I really related to, that just helped me just to really just hone in on that decision and be happy with it.
Now, this roster is coming together piece by piece right now. I think you guys are coming closer and closer to finally having what the roster will look like. But you look at all these pieces, there's so much talent coming in from all over the place that for you guys it might be a little challenging. Like, how are you going to get all these guys to get chemistry when you're saying, I think you're the seventh or eighth edition now, adding on a couple of returners and an incoming freshman and Keyshawn Gilbert. How are you going to get that chemistry figured out to go out there and play and produce at a high level?
We already started a group chat, so we're already working on our chemistry, making jokes with the guys and stuff like that. I think the fact that everyone came from a high major, they know what it takes to win. Everyone's been to the tournament. They know what it takes to win. And I think everyone wants to just be a helper to doing something great and bringing UNLV back to where it should be. And I think that's what's going to help us the most. The fact that, there's a coaching staff that is the all high major coaching staff, of course. Coach Kruger being the son of a Hall of Fame coach. I don't think we're going to have any problems in terms of chemistry. I think we're going to have the most talented in terms of transfer class. I think we have the most talented transfer class. So I think we're just going to mesh when it comes to getting on the court. And since there's no pandemic, we're going to actually have our whole summer to, learn each other's games and just develop our relationships off the court. And I feel like that's what's going to help us.
So far out of the early group chat messages, who's been the funniest guy?
Myself, 100% myself. But we got some jokers on the team.
Who's the other guy like going back and forth with, or is there a second funny guy?
Donovan is a hilarious guy, and so is Reese. Those guys are two. Those guys are clowns. But it's gonna be fun to get out there and meet the guys.
Now, fans do know that UNLV is a historic program. They've been great in the past, but the past little while has not been the best time. I mean, they haven't been bad to any degree, but hasn't been domination, hasn't been consecutive tournament appearances, it hasn't been deep tournament runs. So what will it take for you guys to go out there and really start this new trend and get UNLV back up on top?
I think just knowing that we're playing for UNLV, one of the biggest basketball schools in the country in terms of history, and just playing for them with pride. Being grateful to even be in the situation, and just wanting to go and work hard and turn things around. I think that's what's going to give us a hunger as a team, as a coaching staff, and as individuals. And I think we're going to be fine come first game.
What should fans expect for this team? What can you guys accomplish throughout the course of the year, both in conference, out of conference, and then tournament run? What can fans expect from this team?
They can expect a March Madness appearance. They can expect a lot of energy, a lot of athleticism, a lot of highlights. It's going to be like going to a movie theater when they come to our games. So I think it's going to be really fun.
For you personally, what can fans expect from you? Like, what will you bring to this team every time you step on that court?
They can expect from me a lot of high energy, a lot of fast-paced, exciting basketball plays, and just a good vibe, someone they could relate to, and someone they could cheer for. So yeah.
You are someone that obviously we know can score at a high level. You're athletic, as you mentioned. But I think one thing that's underrated about you is your rebounding. Like, there's not too many guys out there that can get close to 6 rebounds a game as a 6'2" point guard. How have you learned to master that rebounding aspect and really become a dominant rebounder at your position?
I think the fact that I'm such a good player on the fast break, it makes me want to rebound. It makes rebounding easier for me because a lot of plays, like even at Kent State, I would get the rebound and just start the break by myself. So I think me being a great rebounder just helps my team because it puts me in a better position to do what I do best, which is fast break basketball. So just chasing down long rebounds, getting them off the rim, it's just something I know I can do, and it's just something I'm going to carry on to UNLV.
You mentioned the injury, where we discussed that a little bit, but when do you plan to be back on that court, like 100%? When do you think that time will be?
I think by October I'm going to be clear to 100%. I know when we have our first game, I'm going to be ready. Like I was ready at Kent State. So it's a long process, but time goes by fast, and I'm making a lot of progress, especially with the doctors that I'm about to have at UNLV, and just the resources there that I'm going to take advantage of. It's going to make things a lot easier for me.
So how are you feeling at this point in time? Like what percent are you at, and just how you personally feel? Is it pain still? Like how do you feel in terms of injury?
I don't have any more pain in terms of my injury. My strength is still, that's what we're working on right now. So just staying the course, not doing too much, and just sticking to what the trainers advise me to do is that's just where I'm at right now, and just mentally just preparing myself for the next season and getting my mind and my body right.
Absolutely, man. Well, a few more things before I let you go. One, which I was like wrapping up discussing a legacy for yourself, kind of something that all guys want to build. So when you are done playing this game someday, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court?
I think on the court, I want to be remembered as someone who worked hard and produced. Regardless of what level I played at, I was able to just enhance my work ethic and produce and have fun playing basketball. Off the court, I want to be remembered as someone who was not afraid of any challenges, and it's just someone who's just like a lot of people in this world, where you come from nothing, but if you work hard, you could do whatever you want to do. So that's what I want to be remembered as.
To now wrap up talking a little bit about your faith, I know we discussed it quite a bit so far already, but where would you say has been the biggest moment that you've seen God show up in your life so far?
When I got my Eastern Florida offer, because I felt like it was over for basketball, and then I got the call from Coach Shulman. So I think that was the biggest thing that happened for me, in terms of my faith. And it's been a great journey ever since. So.
You're also chosen to be a little bit more vocal than typical guys might be about their faith. I know you have scripture in your bios and social media. What's led you to be so vocal about it? Like, why have you decided to be so outspoken about your faith?
Because I'm not embarrassed about it. I think some people feel weird talking about it. Um, my faith is my faith, and I'm not the type of person to be shy about anything. So, I mean, speaking about it just does more for me. Being vocal about it does more for me. And it does more for others, just giving other people hope and stuff like that. So I'm just always going to be me, and I'm going to be vocal about what I believe in.
You also have a specific verse in your bio from Matthew. Take us to that verse. Like, what does that mean to you, and why do you have that there?
Oh, yeah, Matthew 19:26. Um, I think it's just with God, anything is possible. I didn't think there was a point for me where I was like, am I going to still be playing basketball? But I am. So just knowing that, just having that faith and just having the work ethic combined with it, just like the sky's the limit. I don't even know what my potential is right now. So, I'm going where he takes me, and it's exciting. So.
You also have on social media Starboy. How did that start and where'd that come from?
My mom, my mom actually used to call me that when I was younger. She does it with my little brothers too. She always says like, your star is always gonna shine. All my children are stars and stuff like that, and it just stick with me. It stuck with me from when I was young, and she still calls me her star boy, whatever. So a lot of people like kind of just clicked on it and just started calling me that, commenting on it. So it's cool. It's cool.
Absolutely, man. Well, my final thing for you, give UNLV fans your three biggest goals you have set for your UNLV career.
My first goal is to make March Madness. My second goal is to win Mountain West, and my third goal is to just bring life back to Las Vegas basketball and UNLV Center.
Absolutely, man. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking time to come on today. Congrats on the big move once again, and I'm excited to see what God got next for you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you for having me on here.
Of course, you're welcome on, man. God bless.
Yes, God bless you too.